Guys, what is going on? Thank you so much for being here with us. Give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second, guys. Just setting up, there we go. I need to say what's up to you guys in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. J-Bay, what's going on, J-Bay? And Parajess, fellow moderator. Thank you so much for being here. Jason Bourne, what's going on, my man? Celia Alberto, good to see you, my friend. And Gabe, what's going on, man? Thank you guys so much for being here. Michael, how's your night going, my friend?
The night has been going much better than the day, that's for sure. Just enjoying the evening for what it is, as always, and just kind of thankful that I moved past a bit of a sinus headache that I got earlier today. So, yeah, doing much better, that's for sure.
That's good, man. Guys, everyone in the chat, how are you guys doing? How's your Saturday going so far? How was your week this week, Michael? Did you do anything cool, man?
Well, for the most part, that I want to say that the week went by pretty smoothly for the most part. Just slowly, just hanging in there, just trying to get to June as quick as possible with each passing day. And yeah, not too much exciting things happened other than just surviving. So at least thankful for that much.
Parajess wants to see our beautiful faces, Michael. What do you think, man? You want to flip on the cam?
I'll leave it up to you. I don't mind leaving the camera off or on, whichever. I'll follow your lead.
All right. So I'm gonna turn mine on, and it's gonna flip. We're gonna flip sides for a little bit here.
Okay,
there you go. There you go, Parajess, my beautiful face. I got a haircut. So that's a step forward. If you guys were following me on Twitter, I was telling you guys how my social anxiety reared its ugly head for the last. I was telling Michael about it too, and it really messed me up for a couple of weeks, but I'm back at it again. I went back to work this past week. I had a bit of a panic attack on Thursday, and it was a pretty rough one. I don't know if you guys have ever in the chat if you ever have had a panic attack, especially like at work. It's like one of the worst feelings in the world. So what I decided to do was so I've been on anti-anxiety medicine for 10 years, and I've been open about that with you guys in the chat and with Michael also. And I went to see the doctor, and he told me that sometimes the body gains a resistance against our meds that we've been on for so long. So right now I'm in contact with my psychiatrist, and we're gonna see if we can get me away from those really annoying panic attacks, because like I've been having them like every day, and they're stress related, and they only happen at work. So, and nothing against my work, because my workplace is, I mean, Michael knows we work in the same department. It's one of the most like stress-free workplaces to be at. And it's at a library. I work at a library, and it's one of the most stress-free environments. One of the best jobs like I've ever had, and anyone who asks me if they should apply at a library, I always say go for it. Especially if you're like it's a very cool place. Everyone there is awesome. So nothing against the library at all. It's just me, like stuff that's been going on with me personally, and I'm taking care of that hopefully soon. But that's my quick little update. But how's your rest of the week been going, Michael? Everything going good, man?
Yeah, everything's been going pretty good. Like you said, that's just been thankful within the circumstances I found myself at the library. Honestly, I don't really know how it happened myself, how I got into the library. All I know is that when I was job hunting a couple of years ago, I was told, I should say, from a family friend to try to apply for the city. And funny enough, I was told to try to apply at City Hall, but through one reason or another, I found myself in the library instead. And yeah, no, I've definitely been very thankful since heading to the library. Mind you, there may be that once in a while blue moon situation where some can be a bit of a hassle, but beyond that, though, yeah, I've just been very thankful for being there. And yeah, at the end of the year, I'll be celebrating 5 years with the library. So I'm very thankful for that as well.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Congratulations.
Yep. Definitely would have been five if a certain something didn't happen, but that's not here or there to discuss.
Jason Bourne says, check your Twitter and messages and contact me, dude. All right, man. Yeah, I've been kind of saying off social media a bit. Just need to take a mental break, but I'll check my messages, man. Nonchalant, what's going on, dude? Nonchalant, thanks for sharing with us, man. Always, you guys can always feel comfortable to share with us here in the chat. I feel comfortable with you guys to do that. So Farah just says, I always wanted to work at a library, applied a few different times to my local library, but never got lucky enough to work there. Keep trying though, keep trying. I know after the pandemic, a lot of openings started popping up. Well, I mean, in our area, I don't know if it was the same in other areas, but this might be the best time to try to apply at one.
Yeah, though honestly, a friend of mine, I know that the guy's not gonna care if I say his name out loud. I don't know if you know a guy named Nick, Matt. He's a guy who works within my department, and he actually was asking me how I got into the library, and I told him that I used to stay up Wednesday nights, Thursday early mornings at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, waiting for the job postings to get updated. And then, just had to keep doing that week in and week out for like over a year and a half, just for that one stupid moment where it would finally get posted up. And, one night, I finally got lucky. And then next thing I know, thankfully I was able to get in. And, I told him the exact same thing that, it sucks when you try to put in for something but don't get it. But the main thing is that you just need to just keep at it, essentially. And, sooner or later, you're bound to get something good going your way.
Definitely, man. Jason wants to come on. Yeah, dude, we'll set something up, man. Can have you on as a guest. Nonchalant, chat's moving kind of fast here. Nonchalant says, work has been rough this week. Had a cover issue with a coworker, stressed me out immensely. Got tons of support from other folks, so I'm in a better place today. Life can be tough. I feel you, Matt. That's good to hear, Nonchalant. That's good to hear, man.
Yeah, no, honestly, I've been through that way too many times where no one shows up. So, with me being the godforsaken good person on the team, I will decide to just do double shifts all the time. Because why the hell not?
So that was our little introduction. We like to catch up a little bit, you guys, because we don't talk during the week that much due to work and stuff. So, and of course, you guys are a big part of the channel, so we invite you to chime in on how you guys have been doing for sure during the week. But how about we start with our first topic, Mr. Michael? PlayStation has announced a massive list of games for their PS Plus service, man. This is ginormous, and in case you guys in the chat haven't had a chance to see it, let's go ahead and show it really quick for you awesome people. This is on their official PlayStation blog, saying that we're focused on adding high quality titles into the PlayStation Plus service for players to enjoy. I'm pleased to share a selection of the content that will be available for PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium Deluxe fans. PlayStation.com will be updated with the game game list when it launches in your region. But they did indeed give us some of the titles, and boy oh boy, is it a doozy, man. And what I wanted to ask Michael and those of you in the chat is, are any of these would you recommend to anyone, any of these games that are going to be part of the service? Which ones would you recommend? And it is a pretty big list. And so if you're going to be part of PlayStation Premium Deluxe, you're going to have access to it's basically games on demand, basically like Game Pass but for PlayStation. And you'll have access to the classic games that they're releasing. They're releasing some PS4 games, PS5, and then original PS3 games via streaming. But what are some of the games that stand out for you here, Michael, that you were kind of surprised that they included?
Well, it's kind of hard to say because for the most part, the lineup was about what I kind of expected in regards of some of the items that we saw here. Things like anything that was on the PS Now services already, which basically got rolled over. And I was kind of interested in seeing what was going to be done in terms of the short term. And, and by short term, I of course mean any kind of nice PS5 titles. And there are kind of a good number of them here that, obviously I've been messing around with Returnal as of late, so that will definitely be a nice little introduction for anyone who has just purchased their brand new PS5. And then alongside with that, let me see what else. It's kind of mixed around though, because it's kind of hard for me to make any recommendations fully because, I don't play on the PlayStation 5 all too much. I do from time to time, but yeah, right now haven't been doing too much on it, but I would say that definitely Returnal's like, if you had to try to find a really good PS5 title to add to the service from the get-go, that would be one for sure. Miles Morales, that's also a nice one as well for anyone who wants to enjoy Spider-Man. Both it and the original are both on the service right now. Ghost of Tsushima, that's a really good one.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be the director's cut. So this is the PS5 version of Ghost of Tsushima that's gonna be released on it.
Yeah. And then, of course, depending on who you ask, that's the lovely superior version of Last of Us is also going to be on the service as well. Both the remastered and the Left Behind, I guess it's the DLC as well, is also going to be on there. So for anyone who is kind of interested in the whole series and how it all started up, that's also going to be on there as well.
And that this was actually pretty surprising to me, is that they decided to add a lot of their exclusive games, like Demon's Souls is gonna be on there, and Miles Morales, we talked about that. That's awesome. Returnal it's a pretty big title also. These are games that you can only play on PS5, and the fact that they're the PS5 version of it is pretty neat. What really would have blew this list out of the water if they would have added the new Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, right now that it's kind of hard to say. Well, I mean, I was going to cover this a bit later, but I'll go ahead and just say right now that while this is a really good lineup for what they have going for the time being, however, that I am also kind of interested in seeing what's going to happen going forward. Because,
right.
I will say that if I was to try to pick the one game off the PS5 that I was really interested in seeing in this list, I keep saying Returnal, but honestly, I really just started playing it like a few weeks ago, so I can't really say much there. But, I did get the PlayStation 5 for Ratchet and Clank. Rift Apart. That was kind of like the one that won me over. Besides,
was that the game that made you get a PS5?
Yeah, well, I mean, mind you, God of War Ragnarok was the other reason, but that's still going to be a ways out still. But
just gonna grab
for the time being, if I needed an excuse to grab a PlayStation 5, that was definitely going to be the Rift Apart Ratchet and Clank. And yeah, unfortunately, that's not on this list, so that's kind of a shame. Mind you, though, personally speaking, since I'm not signing up for the service as of yet, that's obviously whatever I say is just going to be my opinion on it, but that's not there. And then the other fun thing also is that for the lovely other game for Last of Us, that the also infamous second sequel, whatever, that's not on this list either. So either A, they're hanging off on it for the time being, or who knows what's going to be happening with the Last of Us 2 sequel.
And then they did add Uncharted, but it's the PS4 edition version. It's not the remastered one. I got all excited when I saw Uncharted getting mentioned, because I was gonna drop money on the remaster version, but it looks like at launch they'll have the PS4 version. And then looking at the third party partners, we have Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the PS5 version of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely would be the biggest one out there if we had to go ahead and pick one, because yeah, right now that for the Xbox Game Pass, the best they're going to be having up here pretty quick is Origins for Assassin's Creed. But for Valhalla, that one's kind of off the table for right now. So that's a pretty big one for the service to have Valhalla up and running.
Which one? Anyone? If you guys in the chat have any of games, if you've seen the lists, and if I'm missing any of the games that we're recommending or that you would recommend, let us know for sure. Jason, yeah, Jason, dude, for sure, man. I wanna do a giveaway of some sort, man. I'll reach out to you. Like I said, I've been kind of off social media, checking my DMs and all that stuff for a while, but I'll check it out, man.
Yeah, and then the other thing for that, let me also check one other thing here.
Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah, again, a whole nice selection of titles coming to the service here pretty quick. So, like I said before, I'm sure I mentioned that at one time or another, whether it was through the messages or through the chats that we've been doing as of late, that, they needed to have a good lineup. And I want to say that at least as far as this goes, this is a pretty fair lineup that they have set up for when the service launches. So, it's going to be a good start. So, good deal there. I'm just kind of interested in seeing what's going to happen from here going forward because, it's one thing to have a strong launch, but it's also another thing to keep adding in more and more interesting titles to go ahead to, keep people's attentions from there going forward. Otherwise, if you just have all these titles, but then you have a lackluster lineup after that, then, it's going to be one part, what's the point, in another part that, some people are just going to stick around for a month or so before they decide to jump elsewhere.
Alejandro Bautista, hey man, what's going on? Matt, what do you think about the PS5 finally adding VRR? I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome that it's getting put in for the majority of the games. Have you had a chance to try out the new VRR on PS5, Michael?
I think I tried it because I think that Returnal was one of those games that was going to have that.
Yeah.
But when I tried to enable it on my TV, I don't think it supports it. So I think my TV's a touch outdated to be able to enjoy such nice things, unfortunately.
And Jason Bourne is loving the higher frames per second on Spider-Man on his Hisense. So yeah, your TV has to have 120 Hz. And I did notice that a lot of games that were stuck in 30 frames, there's a noticeable difference on those games. And if it's able, I haven't really gotten to test it on too many games, but Returnal was one of them for sure that I saw. It looked more fluid. So it definitely has been, and the fact that it's a free upgrade too is really nice.
Oh yeah, no, it could always be a situation where it's like, they could just hide it behind some kind of paywall or whatever, but, it's always nice that they do go ahead and include it so that everyone can be able to go ahead and enjoy it. Mind you, that should go without saying, of course, but at the very least, good on you, Sony, on that one.
Guys, thank you so much for the 7 likes, appreciate you all. Really quick, I want to take a look at the classic games that they're adding to the PS Plus lineup, and if you guys are like me, you really enjoy your horror games, there is some classic horror games that came out in older PlayStation generations. In case you guys missed out on, let's look at the list really quick. Shazam! All right, let's see. Hopefully our picture isn't freezing there. I need to get a second monitor. But looking at the classics catalog, so this is for those of you guys who are going to be on the PS Plus Premium Deluxe plan. What they're gonna give you access to, so for the original PlayStation, Ape Escape, Hot Shots Golf, IQ Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash. Woo! Jumping Flash, man, we're taking it back to like 95 with that one. Siphon Filter, Super Stardust Portable. But when we get down to the classic games catalog, if you're a horror game fan like myself, you're gonna want to check out Siren, which is available right now actually. But if you're gonna be a member of the deluxe plan, you might as well wait to play it through theirs. But Siren was if you're a fan of like the old school Resident Evil games, you'll enjoy Siren. It plays, the controls are outdated, but it's a pretty creepy game. Kind of reminds me of trying to think of The Grudge. There we go. Kind of reminds me of the movie The Grudge. And also classic games remasters. Jak and Daxter, The Precursor Legacy, Rogue Galaxy. So a majority of these titles, I believe, are available right now to purchase, but they'll be included with PS Plus Deluxe in June. And then we know that the PlayStation 3 games we're only going to be able to stream. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. The fact that you can only stream PS3 games, if that's going to be an issue for you. Do you stream games, Michael? Have you tried streaming via like Game Pass or PS Now?
I have given it a few shots here and there, and it's been kind of iffy for the most part for how it's been approached. I know that for my console, I basically have a long cord that runs around the house to go ahead and connect to it directly. So at least in that sense, I'm not having to be too reliant on the wireless. And for the most part, it seems to be running okay-ish. I haven't noticed too many issues, even though that, you may have that small stutter from time to time. But I think it's been working out well so far, at least from what I could go ahead and tell. Although that, if it were up to me, I would rather have a proper connection to a game rather than to stream it.
Nonchalant says the PS3 streaming only is a huge deal breaker for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's completely understandable. Like we discussed a while back ago, that unfortunately, considering the way that the PlayStation 3 was set up, that unfortunately, it wasn't exactly future-proofed, unfortunately. Or at least to a point to where it's like, trying to go back to play these games are unfortunately a bit of a hassle and a half, to where the streaming is the only way it can be done. And, I'm sure they can find a way to be able to make it work, to be able to not have to stream it through the PlayStation 5. But, unfortunately right now, that's time and money that Sony's not going to be considering to spend money on at the moment. So, the streaming is unfortunately as good as we're going to get it for right now.
Ooh, Fear's gonna be on there. The original Fear. I think on Xbox you can't. I don't even think you can buy the original Fear. I know Fear 2 is on there. I might be wrong on that though. That's actually cool.
Not too sure about that myself, actually. Heard good things about Fear, but I don't really recall hearing the part of Fear on the Xbox services.
What kind of threw me for a loop here? So, back when way back when Xbox One and PS4 came out, we kept hearing this thing about time limited game trials, and at the time I was under the impression that it was going to be for like every new game, which I think the majority of the people would appreciate, to be able to try out a game for maybe like 30 minutes to an hour to see if you really want to buy it. And when Sony announced it for their new PS Plus, they kind of made it sound like it was going to be any new game as well, but I didn't think that was going to be the case, and so it's not the case this time around. The time limited game trial benefit will enable you to try select games. So at launch, there's going to be only a handful of games: WWE 2K22, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Farming Simulator 22, Cyberpunk, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection. Ooh, I'm gonna try that one. And Horizon Forbidden West. But they did mention that new games. Oh, okay. Well, they went on to mention that this list will grow. So it's gonna be like Game Pass, where they switch out games. Oh, we'll have access to different games. I guess depending. I don't know if it's gonna be like a monthly thing. Looking at this here. A monthly, okay, so yeah, a monthly refresh will occur on the first Tuesday of the month for the PlayStation Plus Essential plan. Oh, well, that's what we're getting right now. So they're talking about the free PS Plus games. But then for extra and premium membership holders, an additional monthly refresh will occur in the middle of each month with new games across the PlayStation Plus plans. The number of games refreshed will vary per month. So there you go. That's the plans for the new PlayStation Plus, set in stone. Got a bit of time. That was on my end. I think we're back now though.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Wait, let me see. Sorry guys, sorry about that. What was the last thing you heard me say?
Let me check.
Okay.
Sorry.
Wait, yeah, I've been having some issues with Spectrum lately.
Yeah, no, you mentioned that last time. And yeah, no, I just went ahead and just replay the chat log refast just to go ahead and just be sure where we were at. So I think it cut off right as we were wrapping up the selection for the services for PlayStation, and okay, there we go. So what it is that as far as the service goes, it's definitely going to be depending on what happens from here going forward. That for Xbox Game Pass, that there may be times where the service could be a bit slow. There may not be as many fancy games that may come up, but then at other times you may go ahead and find yourself in a situation where because of all the games that have been added over time, you could still be able to jump back to all those other games. And in this case, for the PlayStation service, that could very well be the same thing too. Of course, for the games that were listed, for the majority of them, especially for the PlayStation 5 games, because of how there's not that many, and chances are a whole lot of people have already played those games already. So, we got to see, what comes in further from there, because, some people may go ahead and complain that, oh, there's not enough games on here, or there's not enough fascinating things that I'm just going to keep my attention in. It's all going to come down to how they continue to support the service from here going forward. And, if they keep supporting it with some big game titles and some interesting games to go ahead and keep it going, then yeah, definitely this service will go ahead and be thriving just as good as Game Pass, I'm sure. But as for if that's actually going to happen or not, we're going to have to wait to see how that's going to play out.
Are you going to subscribe to it in June? Or anyone in the chat, are you guys going to get it day one?
Well, I mean, personally myself, like I said before, that I'm being a touch hesitant to go ahead to hold off on getting the service myself, because I already have too many services I'm paying for already.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't have much money to go ahead and be tossing around to be able to go ahead to do such things, but it's all just going to come down to, hopefully, obviously I'm not the target audience in this case for the Sony services. But then at the same time, though, I know that as long as they have enough games that their fan base will be happy with, then, mission complete there.
You mentioned something interesting, and I'm kind of wondering, who do you think the target base is?
The target base will be the casual audience. It's always going to be the casual audience. Because the people who always keep complaining about the Game Pass service, how, oh, I'm not going to play these games, I want the new first-party games. That's an entirely different audience, and, they're not the majority as much as they like to think that they are. Because, much like anything else, like, for example, think of a fighting game that has come out, or like, when Street Fighter 6 comes out. Street Fighter 6 is not going to thrive off the backs of people who keep playing the Street Fighter games throughout the years. It's going to thrive off the casual audience that will be jumping into the game, that will want to connect with said game, and will go to stick with it in the long haul. And, essentially that works in the streaming services too. You want to go ahead and hook people into the service so that they keep coming back for more over time. Otherwise, if it's not going to go ahead and do it, then you're going to run into the same problem that Sony ran into when they first set this whole thing up to begin with.
Right. Nonchalant says, I think the depth of this service depends on how many PlayStation users buy in. No points in a huge offering without a healthy player base. Very true. Very true.
Yep. Very true. And, and obviously considering that, Sony has as big of a fan base as they do, that's already a pretty good player base to begin with. Though now you want to go ahead and make sure that you draw them in deeper to go ahead and get them to spend more money on more products that is already available out there already. And, obviously that's kind of the whole game plan, if you will, to go ahead and get people to buy into, spending a bit more money to go ahead and enjoy more things, to get them hooked, to get them excited, to get them playing more, so that, when you actually start to have your big games like Ragnarok come out and other games, Forspoken and all the other ones, you want people to stick around so that when they do drop those down, they'll toss $70 at that game next, play it, enjoy it, and then, you know, whilst they wait for the next big game to come out, they'll go over to the subscription service and, you know, spend more money there. And, you know, just essentially kind of make it a loop to get them to keep spending money on you.
Jason says Sony was supposed to have demos on all the games before you buy. They lied to us. Well, to be fair, Xbox lied to us also. But yeah,
there's a lot of promises that are made that are kind of met by the end of things, you know. But you know, the thing for the time limited game trials, that's also kind of a bit of a hard thing to say as well, because you know, honestly, well, I mean, it says like you could play for 2 hours for most games, and I'm kind of thinking that I don't really know how much you could get done within a period of 2 hours when you're first starting to play a game. Obviously, it's like, you know, you have these people that can go ahead and speed run through games within 2 hours time, but obviously they're not going to do it when they first pick up a new game. And, you know, for the lineup that was here for like Cyberpunk and the Tiny Tina's Wonderland, you know, those aren't exactly games that you're going to be getting a lot done within the first 2 hours. That I feel like that by the time you get to the end of the 2 hours for Cyberpunk, you finally get to the actual title card, I think.
Oh yeah,
and then,
man, I loved Cyberpunk. Did you like it?
Well, I mean, I tried it and I kind of put it on the back burners right now. I think I'm just in that position where I'm just gonna wait for it to continue to even things out, and then maybe I'll revisit it later on. That right now it's just kind of sitting on the shelf right now, just collecting dust right now.
I enjoyed my time with it. There was only a few times where Keanu Reeves' head was dislocated from his body, but other than that, it was fun times. It was fun times. Okay.
Yeah, no, and I do want to enjoy it, but yeah, no, there was just too many issues with the game that it just kind of was like, you know, I bought in too early. If I want to play it, I'm just gonna have to wait a bit for them to continue to fix the things, or you know, if it's gonna be an Anthem situation, then obviously I'll just get traded out. But you know, apparently right now they're still trying to do whatever they can with that game. So you know, if that's the case, I could go ahead and wait. I've got plenty of other ways to spend the time right now.
Before we move on to our Nintendo eShop talk, you guys, we're going to talk about this story that's been making its rounds on Twitter, the interwebs.
Oh, just really fast, before we go ahead and do that, we did get one other quick question in the chat that's actually a good one we could answer really fast.
Okay.
Do you think they'll lose out on money with first-party sales putting new games on this service? I have a feeling they don't put first-party releases on day one of release for that reason. What do you think, Matt?
Well, if Game Pass is any example, they're still doing it to this day, so I think I don't think it does affect how much money they make. Of course, with Game Pass, it was their first party games that were premiering on Game Pass as well.
Yeah.
But Microsoft has a whole nother plan where they want to promote like their cloud services and stuff, so it's a really good way for them to advertise that. But for a company like Sony, that they're not really following the same path as Microsoft in terms of like cloud gaming, I don't think they are. It might be different for them.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of how I was gonna answer that myself, because you know, yeah, obviously, you know, the game plan for Microsoft is kind of ludicrous to begin with. To be having all these games that would be day one, put them on a service for anyone to play for free. You know, and mind you, that's for the service itself, you know, we can't really speak on behalf of first-party sales, of course. We could go to say, like, if you're either a third-party or an indie person who, you know, obviously you don't have much money to go off of, or you don't have much money to spend on game creation, and, you know, if you go on the Game Pass, you're kind of already getting a kickback already. So whether the game, you know, succeeds or crushes and burns, at least you're getting some financial backing back. But, you know, it's obviously been helping them out, though, since obviously, you know, if you give the people the chance to play a game in advance, and if they really do like it, they will toss money at it. This has been a proven fact time and again. But as for Sony in this case, for first-party games, that's a little bit trickier to answer because, you know, Microsoft has money to burn, Sony doesn't. So, you know, it's kind of understandable that if they're not going to be following suit with the day one releases on the service, it's like, you know, well, that's their game plan. They know exactly what they need to do to succeed, and obviously, that's kind of would be their issue that they would have to address on their on their end. But as
Yeah,
for us, but yeah, no. Overall, though, that it's obviously gonna hurt to some degree because obviously you're not going to be, and it's not going to be like you're going to be getting 100% profits back if you go to put these games out for free. Because I know, like for myself, that I usually don't spend money digitally and on games digitally. So if I play a game that's on a service, and unless if it's like a game that I absolutely love, chances are I'm not going to be tossing another penny at a game outside of whatever the buy-in was. And if the buy-in's free, then kind of that's where I kind of land at. And mind you, if they have like microtransactions or stuff, maybe I'll toss money that way. And maybe that's their game plan as a whole. That's rather than get people to buy in with through a $60, $70 price tag, you get your money back through them through microtransactions. Maybe that's the game plan. But overall, though, we can't really say for sure if what the overall execution's going to be, or how this is all going to play out.
I think, yeah, it's when you mention microtransactions, I definitely think is part of their plan to a certain extent, because we saw the Halo Infinite multiplayer. They're making a lot of money on it, like releasing exclusive skins that are behind paywalls. Like they charge like $3, I think, for like a charm for your weapon.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of mixes around depending on who we look at, because obviously it's like, some games, they may go ahead and charge for skins. Other games, they may charge you for the chance to earn a skin. Other games, you have to go to buy into a Game Pass to be able to hopefully play enough times to go ahead and get the skins. Who really knows? But, we'll definitely see. Let me see here. Sony's got a healthy war chest on the gaming front. Microsoft is the bigger tech company. It's a tough call declaring who has more money to throw at a service like this. Well, I mean, that's a fair point, but unfortunately, the answer is still kind of Microsoft, because, Microsoft is Microsoft and Sony is Sony. Because, well, I mean, and not to say, like, that's how that plays out, but it's like, if we're looking at which company has more money to toss around, we kind of got that answer early on with what we saw with Microsoft buying Activision, but we'll definitely see how things play out as we move forward. Of course, we'll see. Well, especially once we hit June, because between all the fancy game announcements we may get for our not E3 coverage, that we'll hopefully see. Hopefully Microsoft may have some nice game announcements that we could see for this year or next year. Hopefully this year, we'll see if Sony has any other nice announcements for any other additional games. And
Birdman, what's going on, Birdman?
Let's find out how that's all going to play out.
Birdman says Microsoft is the parent company of Xbox. Xbox depends on Microsoft.
Not as much.
Where's Bill Gates at? Where's Bill Gates at? He's writing checks? He's like the Ted Turner of video games.
Trying to figure out, because I remember I saw a picture about the Microsoft earnings or whatever, or like what percentage like all the companies, or not all companies, all the subsidiaries, I think they're called, that get earned under Microsoft's umbrella. And I think that Xbox counted for like 10% at best on that wide range of things, whereas everything else was kind of Microsoft Office, Microsoft computers, and like all the other things that obviously would go to bring home a whole lot of money. Okay, yeah, here we go. I mean, mind you, this may not be the best image, but let me see if I can shoot it over to Matt so that maybe he could post it up.
Okay, while you send me that, Michael, we'll read Jason Bourne's message saying, Microsoft is just trash. They aren't doing anything to help their gaming division. Now, Jason Bourne, come on now. Now, come on now, man. I know you're very emotional, but there's a reason why they bought Bethesda and they're buying all these developers, man. It's coming. It's coming.
Well, I mean, we have to also keep in mind that technically speaking, Sony is not is not a developer themselves too. Sony is not a Nintendo. Sony is Sony, Microsoft is Microsoft, and Nintendo is Nintendo. And Sony does not have their very own game department that allows them to go ahead to just tap into whatever. Unfortunately, to go ahead to have games in house, they need Santa Monica, they need their Insomniac, they need their other, you know, Sony affiliates to go ahead and be getting the job done. And Microsoft obviously needs to step it up from that standpoint for their studios to go ahead and be showcasing things, which right now, you know, it's been particularly slow, obviously, but you know, it's gonna happen here pretty quick, hopefully. You know, as much as I may try to be positive about it and try to put a positive spin on it, you know, we already know how that song and dance goes, so I'm not gonna try to sugarcoat that.
Mr. Transposin says Google Shadowbound test. Can anyone see me besides mods? We can see you. You are not invisible, Transposin. You are here, my friend. Birdman says Microsoft hasn't made money since the original Xbox. Is it still a thing where I know this was a thing? I mean, I think every company sells their consoles at a loss to hopefully make money from software, right?
Yeah, that's kind of how that usually goes.
It's the reason why we're not paying like $800 for an Xbox or a PlayStation.
Yeah,
that's
well,
so,
I mean, that's what it is. The console is just an entryway of being able to go to play all these other games. And, you know, obviously we all go ahead and spend more money on the software than we do the hardware. The only people who could go ahead and technically argue against that would be anyone who invests in their PC. But beyond that, though, you know, we're all buying our games more than we are buying hardware to go ahead and try to upgrade to play said games.
Transposin says, thanks, I can't talk crap on Scrubby, and it's not him, he told me. Oh. Yeah, crap talking's okay, man. Just, you know, the mods already know. It's basically no, just don't get racist on us or anything. Pretty much it.
Yeah.
Man.
Just, I think that overall that, you know, as long as you don't go completely off the edge in regards to the trash talking, I think that a bit of trash talking is fine because obviously it's like, as we established before, the console warring is like, who the hell cares? If you know, literally for us guys here who are chatting right now, we aren't exactly worried about being the part of the poor people to go ahead to be doing such things as trying to figure out what game we are going to be playing on which system. No, we basically have our options essentially. And, you know, not to say that if you're poor, then, you know, you're beneath us or anything, but technically speaking, that console warring, that's just a stupid concept because, you know, it's like you could go up to bat to defend whatever company you want, but the company's not going to be defending you.
I'm poor, Michael. I got no money, man.
I'd save my money, so that's my excuse of how I get around with stuff. I always put money off to the side to be able to save things up.
Saving money is a good thing. That's a good thing, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's how I've been able to get around with being able to get consoles over time because, you know, if I see if there's a console that catches my interest or one that I want to be getting, you know, I always put money off to the side and, you know, over time, you know, you can surprise yourself what happens when you decide to put like $25 or $50 off to the side for a couple of months on end, and then when you get ready to want to buy something, you have this whole stack of cash that you suddenly have right at your hands to be able to buy something for yourself.
So we could start making Instagram stories like 6ix9ine.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone has their own approach to it, and I'm not going to go say that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, did you send me that? Let me check it on my phone real quick.
Well, I mean, I send it to you on Discord, but
okay.
Essentially, overall, though, that I'm just kind of in that position where I've never been one to think much on console wars. And I've just gotten to a point to where it's like, I could really just care less about console wars because if I have everything, then it's like, I guess then that I am above console wars if I have all the consoles.
Oh,
there's no wars, I won the game.
We all know Nintendo's gonna win this fake war that's still going on right now. No,
yeah, they always do. That's, you know, besides that point.
So this chart that percentage of fiscal year 2019 revenue, Windows took 18% of. Wait, what am I looking at? Sorry, Michael.
Okay, so for anyone who's for anyone who's interested in trying to see this percentage pie that I sent Matt, the idea is that for Microsoft as a whole, they have a lot of miscellaneous departments within them. You know, this includes server products and cloud services, the actual Windows, Office commercials items, LinkedIn, Dynamics, and technically speaking, for gaming, if you see that little a dark green pie chart on the, I guess it would be Matt's top right on his screen, that you will go ahead and see that gaming takes up 9% of the entirety of Microsoft's earnings. So it's like, obviously it's not to say that.
Okay. This is
Yeah, so
Microsoft.
overall-
This is all Microsoft.
Yeah, so obviously overall that's, I mean, it's not that Microsoft is dependent on Xbox, but essentially it's earning its fair share to where apparently, they must be doing something right if Microsoft is deciding to toss more money into the gaming sector to go ahead and try to raise up that percentage.
Got you. Yeah, and that's what we were mentioning, that like something is going right with Game Pass, because if it wasn't, then we would immediately start hearing about like Game Pass not becoming a thing anymore, and that's like would be the big indicator that they're not profiting or reaching their goals with that. But somehow it's working. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, man, because when they announced it, it was a crazy ass plan. When I heard about that, I was like, oh man, they are freaking going all in with cloud gaming. But something's going right, and it's like, I know we don't know all the inside details or like with the kind of deals that they have with third-party developers, but somehow third-party developers are I mean, they get money for putting their games on Game Pass. It could be money that they wouldn't otherwise have made, because maybe it's like an IP that some people didn't want to invest or like put their money into. Like, we saw Guardians of the Galaxy pop up on Game Pass, and maybe it was a thing where they didn't sell as much as the developer wanted to sell, and so that's why we're finding it on Game Pass and the new PS Plus.
Yeah, overall it's just complicated to say because, obviously if Xbox really has been, suffering and has been doing poorly, then, obviously they would be making some pretty big changes to go to cut the costs of loss somewhere. Whether if it's like getting rid of Game Pass, cutting down on the number of things they've been getting. You don't put yourself in a loss and you decide to go ahead and dump down from there to try to go to make things better. Something must be going right if they're still doing some things. And mind you that obviously there may be some aspects of the service or the service that they run that has not been to their benefit or has not been doing as well as they may have thought. And, honestly, it's kind of hard to say how all that's going to go, but something must be going right on their end if they're still kind of doubling down on these kinds of things. Otherwise, what's the point of burning money if Microsoft's not going to be getting stuff in the long run? In the end, they're still business and they want to be seeing that profit, go up rather than go down. So, we'll see how that plays out. But anyway, I think we went a touch too far on that tangent really fast off of just one simple question. So
that's cool. Thanks for the question, you guys. It does help build the conversation and talk about all this stuff.
Yeah.
But how about we talk about,
see how things happen.
It looks like the conversation might get a little bit more heated because we're going to talk about Xbox outselling PS5 in Japan for the first time in 8 years. They have officially, and it was only for a week's worth, to be fair, but looking on this article, it was originally published, so Famitsu, the publication Famitsu, is the first one that ended up talking about this. Reported earlier today, this was on May 19th, Japanese publication Famitsu tweeted out saying, the Xbox Series S has outsold the PS5 in Japan for the first time in 8 years. This is in terms of, it was a week's worth of sales. So it was between May 9th and May 15th. And not the series. Okay, yeah. So Xbox in total, the Xbox Series S is the one that kind of helped outsell the PS5. So 6,120 units of the Series S were sold. 105 of the Xbox Series X, beating out the PlayStation 5's disc and digital editions that totaled up to 2,963 units sold. So this is actually pretty big news because Xbox has always had a really, really rough time in the Japanese market, becoming relevant over there. Ever since the original Xbox, they have not sold very well over there. So it made some news because the first time in so long that they actually beat out Sony. And
Yeah, and honestly, it's been kind of something that's been fun to read through on the social medias. That, because the whole thing about this is that obviously, we're looking at a market that is obviously Japanese dominant. That we usually see that, it's usually Nintendo or Sony. And, Nintendo outsells everyone, but no one cares about first place. It's all about second and third. And technically speaking, when we go and look at the sales for, Xbox, they don't do so well in Japan for obvious reasons. And, they're not the target audience as much as North America is, but, they still go ahead and sell the Xbox over there, regardless, to go ahead and still try to, get whatever profits they can. So for it to happen for at least 1 week, that's pretty significant, all things considered, I want to say. That, because for 1 week, there was that slightly higher demand for Xbox consoles rather than PlayStation consoles. And the other thing also that a whole lot of other people have been mentioning at this point, because, why not, is the whole idea of the availability of PlayStation 5 systems, where it's like, oh, there's not enough PlayStation 5s to go around. Obviously, they outsold Xbox. And I'm thinking to myself, how was this a problem before? Because if there's a PlayStation 5 shortage, but they're still outselling Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S. If those are still being outsold by the PlayStation 5 that's having a shortage, that kind of makes it kind of null and void when you think about it, because that's still, Sony still meeting what demand still to still be seen as the more prominent console to get over the Xbox. So yeah, if it happens for 1 week, that's a pretty big deal. Obviously, Xbox outsells for 1 week out of Sony beating out Xbox for the other 51. That's all fine and good, but
whoa, we're gonna take a quick little break to say thank you to Jason Bourne. Holy crap, my dude! Take a quick little break to give a shout out to Jason Bourne donating $50, bro. Thank you, man. And Jason Bourne says Xbox is the worst console. Buy a PC build, a PC. Don't waste the money on Xbox, Matt. Boo! We need a 48-hour stream to get more folks in this room channel. Do some giveaways. And he says, boo, Michael.
I didn't say 75 boo. Normally I wouldn't be giving much thought to criticism, but honestly, if it's any donations that helps out Matt, then, boo me all you like.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jason. Your generosity is greatly appreciated. If it's to bash other people that, you're still spending money to do that. So, thank you very much for your generosity for Matt.
But what do you, guys in the chat, what do you think about this Xbox outselling PS5, out by it only being a week? It's gonna be...
Again, overall that, obviously we could go ahead to just not really give a second thought to this, because obviously if we look for the next week or the week after, obviously it's going to be a thing where, who cares? Sony's going to outsell Xbox next week in Japan.
Guys, we have to say goodbye. We're starting to say goodbye to the Nintendo eShop, and I'm planning on doing some more videos about games I recommend you guys pick up before it goes kaputs forever. And the first phase is officially starting this Monday, you guys. This Monday, the Nintendo eShop will no longer be accepting credit card payments for digital games, but there is a workaround for it. You'll be able to you can still connect your Nintendo account, your My Nintendo account that you established on Switch, if you're still able to merge it with Nintendo 3DS and the Wii U. So when it comes to that, you can still buy. Starting this Monday, you won't be able to directly buy from 3DS or Wii U with your credit card, but you'll still be able to redeem codes, and you'll still be able to merge your Nintendo account that you have established on Switch. If you haven't already done so, you can do that on the Nintendo Switch itself and also on Nintendo's website. But looking at this is on the official Nintendo website, Nintendo Wii U and 3DS eShop discontinuation. So there's actually a few important dates that I wanted to tell you guys about, and the first one being this Monday. So this Monday, can't use credit cards anymore. And on August 29th, you will no longer be able to use a Nintendo eShop card to add funds to an account in Nintendo eShop on Wii U or the Nintendo 3DS. And this is the workaround that we were talking about though, but it is still possible. I'm sorry, so the workaround here says users who link their Nintendo Network ID wallets will still be able to make purchases on Wii U and Nintendo 3DS. So the last day to do this though, so on August 29th you can't redeem the cards anymore, but the last day to do anything through the Nintendo eShop, even if you have the Nintendo ID wallet linked, is March of 2023. That's when the eShop is gone forever. And with it goes actually a lot of games that you can only get from the eShop. And I'll do some videos during the week, in the next couple of weeks, on which games those are. But Michael and chat, any thoughts about the eShop closing forever? It's sad, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is sad that all this is playing out still the way it is with the eShops and such. That it just is kind of a sad reminder that when we look at an all-digital future, this is just another chapter in what could very well happen in the future. As soon as June hits, though, definitely a whole lot of things are going to be happening, and hopefully some good things. We like to talk about good news around here. If it's not good news, then it just becomes tedious and annoying. But yeah, we're nearing a finishing line as far as a drought comes, and hopefully we'll be getting some good stuff coming up here for everyone to be able to enjoy. But yeah, we just need those companies to be making those announcements. Kind of a lack of an E3 has kind of made a few good number of people kind of silent right now.
Yeah, but I think we're gonna be hearing a lot of stuff, and Summer Games Fest is, I think, gonna take it's their time to shine this summer, and they'll make the most of it, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, Microsoft's presentations on Sunday the 12th, and I believe the Summer Games Fest was going to be Tuesday the 14th. So hopefully we'll get a few more things here for announcements of people wanting to do stuff during that week. Hopefully that, in spite of there not being any E3 for that week, maybe they will do other things for that week, hopefully. But, who's to say? Sony's probably going to be silent during that week. But if they want to, prove me wrong, then by all means, the floor is yours, Sony.
Michael, thank you so much, man, for joining us tonight. Thank you, chat. And until
thanks very much.
Next Saturday, we're going to be back with Stock Tracker, and I'll get some, I'm going to try to work on some Nintendo videos for you guys. And until we see you next time, stay safe, stay awesome. You're cool, guys. We're going to see you later, man. Yeah!